Mr. President, I rise today to request unanimous consent to pass a bill I introduced with Senator Ron Wyden, the ranking member of the Senate Finance Committee. Our bill, the Repealing the Trump Sick Tax Act, that would repeal provisions of the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill Act, including a provision that excludes certain pharmaceutical drugs from the Medicare drug price negotiation program. It's a provision that hurts seniors, particularly people with cancer, particularly, and helps pharmaceutical companies evade the responsibility to bring to heel their high-price prescription drugs. Our bill would also repeal the provisions of the reconciliation bill that would force Medicaid enrollees to pay out-of-pocket fees every time they need to see a provider. That is nothing more than a tax on patients, and it must be reversed. You know, Mr. President, just this morning, with Senator Crapo and the Senate Finance Committee, we had the opportunity to interview, demand answers, engage with Secretary Kennedy. And over the course of that hearing and in prior hearings, one of the points that Secretary Kennedy tried to make was that members of the Senate, particularly Democrats, and he accused Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Michael Bennet, of being pharma shills. Yet Secretary Kennedy and President Trump have championed a bill, the One Big Beautiful Bill, so-called, that literally is a $5 billion bailout for pharma by allowing them to get out of or delay indefinitely and maybe forever the obligation to negotiate fair prices. Let me give an example. Keytruda is a major cancer drug. It's been on the market since 2014. It cost between $150,000 and $170,000 per patient annually. So just think about that. You have cancer, you need this drug. I'm glad it's there, but who can afford that kind of money? And by the way, if it's paid for by Medicare or Medicaid, that means the taxpayers are paying this. It's not sustainable. It's not necessary. And as President Trump has often said, we pay the highest prices in the United States, even when it's us, the United States, that actually backs a lot of the research that goes into creating these drugs. We were making progress on price negotiation to have us achieve a goal of making our prescription drug prices come down, make them more affordable, and not have the U.S. taxpayer, the U.S. employer, and the U.S. families pay the most in the world. It's just not right. The One Big Beautiful Bill also included provisions that would delay the Trump administration from using Medicare drug price negotiations to lower the price of Keytruda. That's wrong. That is wrong. There's nothing beautiful about it except that it maintains a big fat profit. Our bill would also repeal this part of the bill and allow the Trump administration to negotiate a lower price for cancer patients. And I sincerely hope my colleagues will join me in helping pass this bill. Secretary Kennedy and President Trump said that their party wants to lower the price of drugs. I want to do that. And this bill would help us do that. In my goal, we should pass this with unanimous consent. And therefore, Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the Committee on Finance be discharged and the Senate proceed to the immediate consideration of S-2447, repealing the Trump Sick Tax Act, that the bill be considered read a third time and passed, and the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Is there objection?
Mr. President.
Senator from Idaho.
Mr. President, reserving the right to object, the proposal that is sought to be adopted by unanimous consent on the floor today, which means bypassing the Committee of Jurisdiction, so that the Committee of Jurisdiction doesn't have the opportunity to work on the bill, is framed in the discussion today as an effort to try to reduce drug pricing. There's no disagreement between Republicans and Democrats on whether we need to reduce the cost of drugs in the United States, and both parties are working on doing it in their own way.